Let me tell you about a song that Eddie Vedder didn't want to release as a single. Pearl Jam's Black, from their debut album 10, is what happens when a band puts artistic integrity above commercial success. Vedder thought it was too personal, too intimate, and vulnerable to be a radio hit. And in my opinion, that may be the very reason why it has endured as one of the most iconic and sentimental songs of rock and roll world. It starts with this intimistic place, almost like you're hearing something in the distance. Just these two chords that will resonate throughout the song, right? So the E and A major. Both major chords, they're supposed to be happy, right? But as it sounds so far in the distance, I believe that's the place that we want to go. You want to reach the happiness, you want to reach that, but it's too far from you right now. So let's dive in. Okay, so let's start with the intro. As I've mentioned, it's just E major chord, an A major chord. Very simple. It resembles something happy, somewhere you want to be, but it's so far in the distance, right? It's muffled. You're not getting there. And on top of that, you hear Vedder screaming. So McCready is doing this chill, very chill. It's got the sustain. And then Eddie comes with his screams. Also in the distance, a little bit muffled, as if it was in the other room or on your neighbor. And it sounds so heavy, it sounds dragging. But then we get to the iconic bass. It's just two notes and a slide, but then the drums just tell you it's gonna start. And right away, we're blown away by Vedder's iconic voice and McCready's simple but effective support to his storytelling. Same chorus here. Same thing as the intro, now in a different voicing, of course. So while we were doing E here, now we're doing E here with the open chord, and the A was here, now we're doing the A here, or here. But what really matters is this will support the storytelling. The star here is not the guitar, not yet, but Vedder singing, as it is in most songs, right? Now, as the support continues, so we get this E and A, they're both dancing, but Vedder's voice on top of it adds this bittersweetness to it. So it adds this feel of longing that you're remembering something that was good, right? And this ties up to the songwriting really well, because the song is actually about a breakup. Wow. Another breakup song, right? But it's not from an angry perspective, or the person that was broken up with has this, I don't know, this grudge that it holds. It doesn't have this vengeance feel to it. It's just accepting what happened and wanting to relieve that again. So when we get to the chorus, it starts with Eddie's moaning. And when we get to that, it's almost like a relief from what was repeating so much. So we're here. Then when we get to the C chord, it almost opens everything. To me, it sounds a little bit like when you're trying to hold on and you don't want to cry in a situation, but you're trying to hold it in, but then it's become too much that it escapes. That's this chord for me. And now we're here, right? So now we're in this relief, even if it's crying, I don't know. But when we get here, the bass line of the song, McCready is not just strumming away, it's letting it ring out. And then it goes back to an E minor. Now we get to the sad part. This is our key, right, for this part. Previously we were in E major, but now we are in the E minor. That's why we have this feel that what was too happy before the E major, it's now we're accepting the sadness of the song, and it's E minor. Then we just come to the D, which will bring us back to the C. So it creates a little bit of tension, right, to go back to the C. And in my opinion, this choice of voicing, it's almost playing tricks on you. Because if we look at other songs, we're gonna see the C being played as a power chord here, the D being played as a power chord here, and the E being played as a power chord here. So you get this ascension. And if we were to play it like this, we would get the C, then the E, then the D. And we get this descending feel to it. Whereas where McCready puts it, in this voicing, this open voicing, the cowboy chord voicing, we get a sudden drop here, and then we get lifted up by the D. And the D doesn't act as a descending here. It almost feels like it's ascending, even though it's a note that's below the E, quote unquote. One thing that I'd like to point out here is that when we get to this part, right, we also get a second voicing. So the chords are not static. We get this little changes, and feel free to do it however you want, but it's the introduction of the theme, right? The most iconic part of the song, in my opinion. The most recognizable, maybe not iconic, but the most recognizable part of the song. And we get it in the end, but it's already hinting to what it's going to reach, right? So this part for me, it creates this tension, it creates this reflectiveness, because once you were just remembering I was happy, then you get this sudden release from what was happening over and over again. So you were remembering that from the intro, the happy place from the intro. You're remembering that throughout the whole first verse and all the other verses as well. But when you get to this chorus, this bridge, you get this release from that cycle that has been going on, and then you get an E minor, which is more reflective, introspective, and the D putting that sort of ascension. You want to aspire to something a little happier, and the lyrics will also support this, but I'm more focused on the guitar playing itself. And what McCready does here, he's actually just supporting the story being told with words. But what he creates in this D chord, it's hope. He wants you to feel like you're aspiring, that you're ascending to something better, just to come back here to the C, then finish on an E minor. So this is acceptance. And then you go back to remembering. So you get from an E minor to an E major. That's rare. And now we're almost reaching the climax of the song, right? So we've been twice through the remembering phase. We've gone to the release just to fall short and accept the sadness. So by the time that we get this release, that we get this climax, we get this, which is hinting to the theme of the song, but it starts on a root, starts in an E, and that place doesn't feel like home. So the E that we start here doesn't feel like home anymore. We are longing for this, because this is what the song has been building up to, right? And when we get to this point, and the iconic lyrics of the "I know someday you'll have a beautiful life, I know you'll be a star." This is resonating in the background, and we're getting this the "I know someday you'll have a beautiful life, I know you'll be a star in somebody else's sky, but why can it be mine?" And when we finish there, we just get this preparation for this iconic lick. And this is the climax. This is where everything explodes. This is where everything is too much to bear. So you see, we get this again, which is prepping us, which is pushing us to reach here. The guitar actually does a little bit of a solo. It goes into, but that's not the most important part. What it is, it's just continuing to express that emotion, that explosiveness, that's getting from the climax, from the theme of the song. So this is why I think Black by Pearl Jam is one of the most underrated songs that we have so far. Vedder shows us beautifully how a vulnerable, intimate thing can become this voice for thousands and thousands of people for decades. So if you'd like this breakdown, if you like my thoughts on this song, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. And please comment down below, what songs do you want me to break down? And also let me know what's your favorite Pearl Jam song. I'd love to hear those. Thank you so much and see you in the next video. Bye bye.